Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. This is a video series I do where every month I come on and share what our net worth updates are for the month prior. So this being June, the numbers really reflect the May data, but I calculate it in the beginning of June. So I'm going to share with you two different ways that we calculate our net worth, and I'll explain to you why. So when we calculate our net worth, we typically use the purchase price of our home to be conservative. We don't want to falsely inflate that number because we don't plan to pull the equity out of our home towards any type of like retirement funds. We don't intend to live off of the equity in our home since we still need a place to live. But I know a lot of people do tend to use home market value because technically if we were to sell our home right now, that's the amount of money that you would get. So in theory, it's equity, but obviously really it's not until you actually made a sale on that home. So again, we like to be conservative in our numbers, and that is why we choose to do the purchase price that we paid for it, not what it's currently worth. So we do have a lot of equity in our home. We put a good chunk down, not the full 20%. We're very, very close to getting to that 20% mark to be able to drop the PMI. But our home value has gone up significantly in the last almost 3 years now that we've owned our home. So I'm going to show you how the numbers play out if you calculate it each way. So we take the home price, so depending on which calculation, either the price we paid or the current market value, and we add in any other funds that we have in, retirement, savings, things like that, all of our assets, plus real estate I call out as a separate line item. Really don't need to, because the only real estate investing we're currently doing is through the Fundrise platform, and it's a very minimal amount, so it really could be lumped all into that. I just like to tie it out in a separate line item in my spreadsheet. So then we would add up all of those assets and then subtract out our mortgage as our only liability. We don't have any student loans left, any auto loans, anything like that. So we take that asset minus the liability, and that is how we calculate our net worth. So to dive into the actual numbers for our June update, if we look at the way we normally calculate it with our home price paid, subtracting out that mortgage, we end up with a net worth of $371,221. And this is up $11,000 from the previous month. So even though the economy and the stock market has been all over the board, really the last couple of years, now the last 3 months we've seen consistent increases, which is really nice to see that it's kind of turning around here. And then we also calculate a percentage to fire. And the number I use for that is 1.5 million, even though I do think that is low and our ultimate goal is higher than that. So I should probably adjust that. But either way, we are 24.75% of the way to that goal. So that is exciting to see that number continue to go up each month as well. Now, when we look at it with our home market value, as I mentioned, our market value for our home has gone up significantly. So we paid $415,000 for our home, and it is currently worth, according to Redfin, $545,000. So that is a lot of equity tied up into that and into the house. So, and then you're really going to see that here in these numbers. So if we use that market value, again, subtracting out the mortgage, we end up with a net worth of over $500,000. We have $502,154. So while that is really exciting to hit that $500,000 mark, because that is one of my personal goals, is to have a net worth of $500,000 before I turn age 40. And that is a couple of years away. So this market better continue to go up and up and up for us to reach that goal. Because I'm using the way we calculate it and not this home market value way. Otherwise I could say, hey, we did it. But we would be going from the current 371,000, not the 502,000. So when you look at it graphically, you can really see there is a significant difference. And I mean, we're talking, you know, almost $150,000 difference when we're looking at the numbers. So that is why I think it's really helpful to pull it out and look at things differently, and just whatever works for you and your goals and the way that you want to look at it. I mean, maybe you know that you plan on selling the home and maybe living with your kids, I don't know, and that you would really be able to tap into that equity, then you could use that number, and maybe that is beneficial to you. Even though my daughter, my oldest, who is only 9, said that she wants our home. So maybe she will get it someday, but in the meantime, we don't plan to sell our home or live off of that equity. So again, that's why we are more conservative. But I do find it very interesting being able to pull the two numbers out and looking at them and keeping things in perspective. So I hope you found that interesting, entertaining. I don't know, but I do enjoy doing these and seeing the numbers, and I'm just happy to see that they are continuing to go up again on a monthly basis. I was recently watching a video from the Money Guy show, and they talk about calculating an annual net worth statement. So they typically only do it on an annual basis, not on a monthly basis. And I think it really all depends where you're at in your journey. I think we could very well, very easily just calculate this once a year and kind of just look at the difference from, you know, year to year. So I could do that real quickly and just say June of last year, we were at like 320,000. So we're up 50,000 from the previous June. So that, I mean, that is exciting to see how much, you know, it does increase on an annual basis versus a monthly basis, because again, it can be up or down on a monthly basis, and you're looking at more of a smaller time frame than the big picture. So again, doing what works for you, whether you like to be in the numbers and seeing it, or if it's like, oh, I'd rather just know on an annual basis. I think if you are still actively paying down debt, it can be very motivating to do it on a monthly basis, because you are seeing the numbers change as you are working hard on paying off that debt. And that is kind of how I got started. I was actively tracking our debt payoff, and that's when I kind of started to look at, okay, like, well, what is our net worth and how much is that changing? So that's going to do it for me, and I will be back again in July with another update. I hope you have a great month.